There's like those silent book reviews that are like... What's up, guys? So this week's video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We are going to be talking about books. As you can see, I'm a huge book nerd. Today we're going to actually utilize that because, you know, it's one of the only talents I have is just reading. Just reading, yeah. I'm a huge Swiftie. I went to the Eras tour back in May. I went 2 times. It was the most amazing time of my life. I love that woman. She can do no wrong. But if you didn't know, there is a new album coming out in April called The Tortured Poets Department, or as many people on the internet keep calling it, The Dead Poets Society or The Tortured Poets Society. It's hard to memorize an album that has more than 2 words, okay? We're used to 2-worded or 1-worded album titles. This is new. But basically, the vibes that I'm getting from this are very like literature. It's for the book girlies, okay? It's for the book girlies. There's literally a song titled I Can Fix Him. No, really, I can. Which... That's my song. I am claiming that song. I hope you realize that that's my song, guys. Like, I can fix him. I say it every day. My friends can attest to it. With that being said, since this album is coming out, I figured why not do a Taylor Swift book related video because it's literally what I live for. That's my brand. So I put a list together of different books and then I associated them with a specific Taylor Swift song. I have 11 books on this list, and basically I'm just gonna go through, I'm gonna name the book, the song, and you know, and just kind of like why I associate those songs with these books. What I like to do is I make playlists based off of certain books. Like, I don't have many. Actually, I only have 2 currently. I have to make more. But right now I have a Red Queen playlist and I have a Cruel Prince playlist, which if you want on my playlist, I'm going to link my Spotify down below in the bio. So if you want to check it out, what I listen to, go for it. Also, relating to Spotify, I did a video a few months ago when Spotify Wrapped came out recapping it. So if you want to check that out also, I'm going to put the little like icon thing. I don't know what it's called. The little thingy that's usually up there. So, you know what I mean. Okay, so the first book that I have on this list is none other than my all-time favorite book ever, Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This is a 4-book series, including a extra book, which will make it 5 books, of 2 novellas, so definitely check it out. It's amazing. I literally like annotated the whole book, and I have a little card telling me like which color is for what. But basically, Red Queen is about this girl named Mare Barrow, and she is from a small slum town called the Stilts, and basically the whole kingdom is divided by blood. So there are the normal people who have red blood. They're just basically regular people. You know, they're average, they're poor, they work for the elite basically, and if you don't have a job, you basically get sent off to war. So yeah. And then there are the Silvers, who are the royals. They are the high class. They can either have nice jobs or they're just royalty basically, and because they have their silver blood, each family has a power. I think it's genetic. People, they consider them gods basically, even though they're not immortal. And Mare is a red who ends up having this mutation that gives her a silver ability. She has to pretend to be somebody else in order to keep that secret, and she's engaged to one of the princes. And it's I'm not gonna go too much on it because I don't want to spoil it. It's been out for a while, so I don't think it got to spoiling. It's been out for a few years now, but just to be safe, we're not gonna spoil anything. But yeah, this is a 10 out of 10. I cannot explain how much I love this book enough. I think my friend lived for this. Like, she's the one who told me to read it, so I was like, okay, let me get a reading slump. So, love this book. Love this book. I will never talk bad about this, ever. I had associated this series with The Alcott by National and Taylor Swift. Like, hold on, let me put her down. I'm just gonna specifically state the lyrics that I'm like referring to. There's like a specific lyrics in my head that I'm thinking of. So specifically the chorus of The Alcott, it's the last thing you want. Tell me which side are you on. It's the first thing I do. Give me some tips to forget you. I'll tell you my problems. Have I become one of your problems? And you tell me the truth. Could it be easy this once? Like, especially, did my love aid and abet you? Like, that's literally, I think the reason I associate this song with Red Queen is because it specifically just reminds me of Mare and Maven, which Mare and Maven are together in the book. They're a couple, they're engaged, and it's just, I'm not going to continue. You have to read to find out why I associate it with that. But I specifically think The Alcott is so Mare and Maven coded. It's just Red Queen coded in general. Actually, there are a few couples in that book that I think definitely can relate to The Alcott. So Red Queen is The Alcott. Alright, next up is another favorite of mine personally. I actually just recently read this series over the summer and I'm obsessed. I'm really late to the game, but is the Shatter Me series by Tahereh Mafi, and the emotional roller coaster that I went through when reading this series, like, I can't even tell you. No, this one is not annotated, sadly. I will get to it at some point. So this is literally like one of my favorite children. I love this series so much. So basically this is a dystopian universe which follows the character Juliet Farrar, who has the ability to kill anybody or anything with her touch. So basically she starts out in this asylum and then she is freed by this boy named Adam. She basically is freed by this boy named Adam, and he is working for the reestablishment, technically, and he works for Aaron Warner. It just goes through Juliet's journey of just kind of like freedom and finding herself and honing her abilities, and as well as taking down the government, which is one of my favorite tropes ever. I probably explained this book really badly. There's just like not a proper way to describe Shatterme. You kind of just read it for yourself, but it's just... it's so good. It's so good. I can't recommend this series enough. I think it's huge on Book Talk right now. It's been huge on Book Talk. That's how I started reading it. The song that I associated Shatterme with is Vigilante Shit from the Midnights album. You cannot tell me that Juliet Farrar's is not vigilante shit. Especially like, you did some bad things, but I'm the worst of them. Which, if you read the whole series, you understand why I'm referencing that lyric specifically. Don't get sad, get even. The bridge of vigilante shit. Especially, like, ladies always ride as well. Ladies know what people want. The ladies simply had enough. It's Juliet. The Juliet you meet in the first book is a completely different Juliet than the Juliet you see in Believe Me, which I need another book. Believe Me was not enough. I need a whole ass fanfic or something. Like, please. If you like dystopian, Maze Runner, Divergent, Hunger Games-esque vibes, this is a book for you. I will give it to you right now. Like, just take it and read it, because you'll understand. You'll understand. Our next book we're going to be addressing, which is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, which, if you don't know about it by now, are you living under a rock? I mean, this book has been everywhere. It was all over TikTok, which made it a massive sensation. If you love dragons, fantasy, dark academia, magic, war, this is for you. This is for you as well. Take this. Now, Fourth Wing follows Violet Sorrengail, who is the general's daughter, and basically she's expected to be going through the Scribe Quadrant, which is basically just, you know, the smart people's vibe. And then she follows her mother's, like, words, and she goes into the Writers Quadrant. And basically she has to survive, because not many people do. It's like the survival of the fittest, basically. And if you read the book, you know that Violet is not, at the beginning, the fittest whatsoever. She's frail, fragile, small, and so she has to try her best on the aid of her friends, so to basically survive and graduate. And it's like forbidden romance, it's enemies to lovers, spice, smut. It's one of my favorite series ever. The Taylor Swift song I associated with Fourth Wing is Endgame from Reputation, which, if you're trying to tell me it's not perfect, you're lying, because I Want to Be Your Endgame, big reputation. You and me, we have big reputations, and I heard about you got some big enemies, like that's literally Violet and Xaden. Tell me it's not. Tell me it's not, okay? I just, like, big reputation, like I was saying, big reputation, big enemies, I heard about you. Again, another lyric, I think, which is specifically from Taylor's rap verse in the song, it's, reputation precedes me, they told you I'm crazy, I swear I don't love the drama, it loves me, and I can't let you go, your handprints on my soul. It's Xaden and Violet. I hope they're Endgame. Now next is one of my all-time favorites again. I mean, these are all amazing books, but this is like one the world is just amazing. I love all the characters. Like, I don't think there's many characters that I hate in this next series besides maybe 2 or 3. And it is the Inheritance Games series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and she actually, as I'm filming this, she last night recently just announced a novella book with multiple short stories called Games Untold, which I immediately pre-ordered it. I was like, I'm getting paid Friday. I'm buying this book. This is one of my favorite universes, I think. Basically, the story follows a young girl named Avery who is from Connecticut, and she lives in her car. She has her sister, and she ends up inheriting over $1 billion from this man whom she never met. In order to keep the money, the catch is that she has to live in his house, this mansion, for a year. And along with that comes the family that's also living in there, his 4 grandsons along with his daughters, and basically the whole house is like a labyrinth. There's multiple secret passageways, puzzles to be solved, and it's just Avery and James. Listen, if you're Team Grayson, spy. Avery Jameson all the way. Like, I've been reading ever since day 1. And yes, this one I actually did annotate as well, because, you know, I love annotating. This is a series I actually read, I want to say, I started reading this 2 years ago. It's so good. Like, these are all amazing series, but like this one has my heart. There are so many Taylor Swift songs that go with this series, but specifically, I actually had a long list of songs for this book, but I eventually narrowed it down to one because that's what this whole video is. And the song that I narrowed it down to is The Last Great American Dynasty. It was between that or Mastermind because they're just both perfect vibes for this book. But I chose The Last Great American Dynasty because of the fact it's the whole dark academia, rich people, inheriting money. I think specifically the chorus with like, and they said there goes the last great American dynasty. Who knows if she never showed up, what could have been? The maddest woman this house ever seen. She had a marvelous time ruining everything, which specifically I think that lyric is so perfect because she ruined everything by basically disinheriting all of the grandsons and the children of Tobias Hawthorne, Avery Hiley Grams, everybody. A very risky gamble. And then also I think the bridge, like they say she was seen on occasion, free of women with madness, they're men in bad habits, and then it was bought by me. Who knows if I never showed up, what could have been? The whole point of Last Great American Dynasty tells the story of the woman who previously owned Taylor Swift's Rhode Island mansion, and it goes through the story of her owning it and then not owning it, and then Taylor buying it years and years later. And I think that compares to the Inheritance Games in so many ways, but there are a lot of parallels between The Last Great American Dynasty and the Inheritance Games. 5 out of 5 stars. Next is another iconic series on Book Talk, and that is the Cruel Prince series, or the Folk of the Air series, I should say, by Holly Black. Jude Duarte is one of my all-time favorite protagonists, female protagonists, in a book series, and she has no powers, and yet she is such a badass. I love her so much. I aspire to be Jude so much. This is basically just the story of Jude, who is a human girl along with her sisters. Vivi is a half fae, and Taryn and Jude are human twins. They live in this world called Fairyland, or Elfame, which is a kingdom, and she despises the Fae for doing so many cruel things to the humans that live in Elfame, or just in humans in general that happen to come across any Fae. And she especially hates the royal family, and to be specific, Prince Cardan. They went to school together. They got school beef. In order to win her place in the court and to become a knight, she tricks him, basically defies the rules, and The Cruel Prince is a book that I associated with Taylor Swift's Look What You Made Me Do from the Reputation album. It just screams Jude. I don't like your, I'm trying to like name lyrics, but it's literally the entire song screams Jude Duarte. It's her song. It is her song, no one else's. I don't like your little games, the role you made me play the fool, I don't like you. I got smarter, I got harder in the nick of time. Look what you made me do. I don't trust nobody and nobody trusts me. I'll be the actress in your bad dreams. I can recite every lyric in that song and it will all correlate to Jude specifically. Because she is that bitch, okay? She is a badass with a sword. She is a sword wife. She's basically Cardan's scary dog privileges, which if you love that sort of vibe, I recommend this series. Okay, this next one, I don't know how many people are going to agree with me with the song that I associated with this series, but you know, keep in mind, this is my opinion. You can have your own opinion, doesn't matter. But this next one is one of my favorites. It is by Holly Jackson, 5 Survive. It is a standalone, it's not a series. And basically, there are 6 teens going on a road trip. They get stuck in the woods and there are snipers in the woods trying to kill them, and only 5 of them live and make it out. Who dies? I don't know. I do know, but you're gonna have to find out for yourself and read it. I'm not gonna spoil it for you because that'd be so boring. And it's so suspenseful. It's so fast paced. I read it in a span of like a few hours. I can't rec this book enough. I love Holly Jackson in general. I love all of her work. So yeah, and this one's also annotated because annotating. For 5 Survive, I associated it with the song Carolina from the Where the Crawdads Sing soundtrack. And you didn't see me here, no they never did see me here. And she's in my dreams, into the mist, into the clouds, don't leave. There are places I will never ever go, and things that only Carolina will ever know. That's such corresponding to this book, I think, in so many ways, with the fact that I think the song very perfectly encapsulates the mystery and the thrill of this book and the suspense, and it's just, I love this novel so much. Okay, next up we have Realmbreaker by Victoria Aveyard, who is the same author as Red Queen, which I mentioned earlier in the video, and this is her second series. It's a trilogy, I believe. The third book is coming out soon, and this is the first installment of it, and I also annotated. This book is very much like Game of Thrones, Hunger Games, Lord of the Rings, very esque vibes. So if you love high fantasy anything, I recommend this. She is thick, but she's so worth it. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I think she did this so well, and I have a signed copy because I love Victoria Aveyard so much. This book I associated with Castles Crumbling from the Speak Now Taylor's Version album. It's so perfect. I feel like my castle's crumbling down and I watch all my bridges burn to the ground. You don't want to know me, I'll just let you down. Power went to my head and I couldn't stop. My foes and friends watched my reign end. The whole bridge. It specifically, like, it can correlate to so many characters. It can correlate to Erida, Corianne, so many. Oh, what did I drop? My key for how I annotated this. But this is so Castles Crumbling coded. Really good. It has amazing world building, and the way Victoria Aveyard writes is just like, I could never write like Victoria Aveyard writes. Next is another book that is written by Holly Jackson, who wrote Five Survive, and that is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This follows a girl named Pip and her friend Ravi as they basically try to prove an innocence of a man who is convicted or thought to be the murderer of this girl named Andy Bell. And it starts as a school project, and then, you know, chaos ensues. Obviously, you know, we love that. So this series is like my Bible. I love A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. For this book, I feel like there's only one obvious choice for a Taylor Swift song, and that is No Body, No Crime. I think it speaks for itself, but I think he did it, but I just can't prove it. She thinks I did it, but they just can't prove it. It's just the whole song, similarly with Look What You Made Me Do, perfectly encapsulates this whole book, the whole series actually too. I think each book can definitely relate to No Body, No Crime. And 10 out of 10, 5 stars. I adore this series. I don't think I gave every book in this series a 5-star. I think maybe some of them were 4. This next series is actually one I'm in the middle of currently rereading because I read it in elementary school in our school's library and I'm just obsessed with it. So I thought, like, finally, let's buy my own copies of these books and then, you know, read them again, maybe annotate, see what my thoughts are on it now. And that is the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. Let's just take a moment. Just take a moment. Moment of silence. This book got me through some shit in elementary school. This was my shit. With the show that just came out also on Disney Plus, I have re-entered my PJO phase. I feel like, do I even need to explain the premise of Percy Jackson? I feel like we all know Percy Jackson. You already know, you know? I feel like this one's like, doesn't need an explanation on the plot. You all know it. Which if you don't, what are you doing with your life? Read it and then come back to this video. But basically, this has so many song choices I could have done. I actually have a whole playlist called like, I'm Pretending I'm in Percy Jackson or something like that. Which again, my Spotify will be linked below if you definitely want to check out some of these playlists. But specifically, I want to say, I think the song The Great War from Midnights is so Percy Jackson coded. I was like, I feel like, do I need to explain the lyrics again? Like, it's the entire song. Tore your banners down, took the battle underground. Maybe it was ego swinging, maybe it was her. Flashes of the battle come back to me in the blur. The bridge, especially. Oh my gosh, the bridge. It turned into something bigger. Somewhere in the haze, got a sense I'd been betrayed. If you've read the series, you know what I'm talking about. But I'm very passionate about the series. I can talk about this for hours upon hours. I'm actually rereading this one right now. I'm on page 160. I'm on chapter 11. And this next one I'm gonna have to like go into the depths of my bookshelf to grab. Okay, I got it. This next series is a huge phenomenon. It is a really long series, a lot of books, very big books. Everyone knows it as Harry Potter. Everyone knows Harry Potter. You all know the plot. Sadly, I was the person who watched the movies before reading the books. Literally, I can make a Harry Potter playlist if you want me to, but I chose the song Willow. Which, like, the Weeping Willow, but also I feel like just the whole mystical aspect. Life was a willow and it bent right to your wind. You know that my train could take you home. Like, it's so Harry Potter coded. She has a lot of songs that I feel like associate really well with this book, but I don't know, I just think Willow kind of, for me, when people are like, oh, think of a song, and I'm like, Willow. And finally, it's a huge franchise, The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Everyone knows it. It is the dystopian book series, in my opinion. She's been there since day one. She's got me through a lot. She's just so iconic. And I kind of like how I'm ending on such a classic and iconic series. But of course I had to do Safe and Sound from Red Taylor's version, and it was also on the Hunger Games, one of the Hunger Games soundtracks. I don't really recall which one it was. Don't get mad at me. Don't you dare look out your window, darling. Everything's on fire. The war outside our door keeps raging on. Hold on to this lullaby even when the music's gone. I love Katniss Everdeen. And that's it for all the books that I had on my list for this video. Maybe I'll make a part 2 with some other book series and go more in depth on the reasoning behind them. Books and songs go hand in hand for me. I always love a playlist when I'm reading. I think it just makes you feel like you're in a world so much more and helps me visualize what's going on. But that's all for this video. Like I said, if you want to see more like this, let me know. Show me how much you love it. You know, do all the things. And I'll see you guys next week with another video. Bye!